There comes a moment in every man's life when he's faced with words that don't just hurt. They reveal truth, not her truth, not your illusion, but the raw, unfiltered reality of who she really is. When a woman speaks certain words, she's telling you, without realizing it, that she is not your peace. She is your pending destruction. So listen carefully. If she ever tells you any of these 5 things, don't argue, don't reason, leave immediately. Let me break it down. You're too sensitive. These 3 words might seem like a casual dismissal or a joke in the moment, but in reality they carry an incredibly destructive weight. When a woman utters this phrase, she's not just commenting on your reaction, she's minimizing your entire emotional existence. And here's why this is such a massive red flag that most men ignore. It's not just about your sensitivity. It's about her refusal to take accountability for how her actions affect others. A man, especially a grounded and emotionally aware one, who expresses discomfort or addresses something that hurt him, is exercising one of the most powerful traits any masculine presence can offer: emotional regulation combined with honest vulnerability. That's not weakness, that's strength. But when a woman tells you you're too sensitive, she's telling you that your emotional boundaries are inconvenient to her, that your ability to feel is a burden rather than a bridge between 2 people who care for each other. This phrase often comes after you've called her out on something she did. Maybe she crossed a boundary, said something disrespectful, or acted in a way that felt dismissive. Instead of reflecting, owning it, or even seeking to understand how it made you feel, she throws the weight of the situation back onto your shoulders by suggesting that the real problem isn't what she did, it's how you received it. And that is a manipulative tactic rooted in emotional immaturity. Now here's what many men don't realize. This kind of response conditions you over time. Every time you hear you're too sensitive, you begin to question yourself. You start second guessing your own instincts. You become hesitant to speak up the next time something bothers you. Slowly, your natural emotional reactions, your gut instincts, get overridden by a need to avoid confrontation. And just like that, you're silenced. Not because you lost your voice, but because she trained you to believe your voice has no value. This kind of woman doesn't want emotional depth. She wants emotional submission. She wants a man who absorbs her chaos without ever holding up a mirror. She wants someone who lets her do and say anything without consequence. And if you allow this, you'll slowly shrink, not physically. Spiritually, you'll go from a man with power, presence, and standards to a shell who smiles, nods, and pretends like everything is okay when inside you're exhausted and unseen. A hive owl. You woman, on the other hand, will never dismiss your emotions as too much. She might not always agree with how you feel, but she will listen. She will respect your right to feel. She will understand that masculinity isn't about stoicism in the absence of emotion. It's about composure in the face of it. She'll welcome your honesty, not punish you for it. So when a woman says, "You're too sensitive," what she's really saying is, "I don't care enough about your emotional world to meet you halfway." And if she doesn't care now, don't fool yourself into thinking she ever will. Because love without respect isn't love at all. It's slow emotional erosion disguised as intimacy. You should be lucky to have me. At first, this might sound like confidence, maybe even a flirtatious remark from a woman who knows her worth. But don't be fooled. This phrase, when used seriously, is one of the most dangerously arrogant things a woman can say to a man in a relationship. It's not about love. It's not about admiration. It's about power, a silent power play meant to put you below her, to create a dynamic where she is the prize and you are just another contestant fighting for her approval. When a woman says this, she's not expressing mutual value. She's broadcasting that she believes she's out of your league, that she's doing you a favor by staying with you. It means she sees herself as inherently more desirable, more valuable, more important, and you as easily replaceable. This is not a mindset of partnership, it's the mindset of entitlement. Let's break it down deeper. Real relationships are not built on one person settling for the other. They are built on two people choosing one another from a place of *** equal respect ***. When she says you should be lucky to have her, she's telling you that your presence is a result of her generosity, not her genuine love or attraction. That instantly throws the entire foundation of your relationship off balance. She becomes the judge, and you become the defendant, constantly having to prove your worth, constantly on trial for not measuring up to her imaginary standard. And here's what happens when you allow this kind of energy to exist in your life. You start overcompensating. You begin to do more than necessary just to keep her around, to win her approval, to avoid her cold indifference or passive-aggressive remarks. You begin to sacrifice your boundaries, your priorities, your sense of self just to maintain a connection that isn't even rooted in mutual admiration. You morph from a man with vision and standards into a man who's just hoping to be good enough for someone who never truly respected you in the first place. This isn't love, it's psychological submission. A woman who makes you feel lucky to be in her presence is preparing you for a life of one-sided effort. You'll always feel like you owe her something. You'll always be walking on eggshells, fearing that if you don't do exactly what she wants, she'll pull the rug out from under you. And that fear, that's not healthy tension. That's emotional enslavement masked as romantic chemistry. But let's go even further. Why would a woman say this in the first place? Usually, it stems from insecurity. A woman who truly values herself doesn't need to announce her worth. She embodies it. But when she hasn't done the inner work, when her self-esteem is fragile and tied to external validation, she uses this kind of language to elevate herself and diminish you. It's her way of saying, I don't feel enough, so I need to make you feel less than me to feel secure. The truth is, a high-quality woman knows that both people should feel fortunate to have each other. She knows it's not about who is better. It's about who complements who. It's about shared growth, mutual admiration, and a sense of equality that doesn't require anyone to be put down so the other can feel up. So the moment she says, you should be lucky to have me, she's declaring war on the balance in your relationship. She's telling you, maybe not in those exact words, but with crystal clear intent, that she doesn't see you as her equal. And from that moment on, everything changes, because once she sees you as beneath her, she'll treat you that way, in her tone, in her attitude, in her respect, and most dangerously, in her loyalty. My ex was better at. This statement may sound like a passing comment, a slip of the tongue, or even a harmless comparison, but in truth, it is one of the most insidious verbal daggers a woman can throw at a man. On the surface, it's a reference to someone from her past, but at its core, it's a deliberate comparison meant to destabilize you, to question your adequacy, and to remind you either overtly or subconsciously that you are replaceable ***. When a woman invokes her ex in this way, especially to compare him to you, it's never just about the ex. It's a psychological power move. She's creating a phantom figure, an idealized version of a man who, despite no longer being in her life, somehow still holds space in her mind and heart. Whether she says, "My ex used to take me to better places," or "My ex was better in bed," or "My ex never acted like this," she's not simply sharing memories. She's sending a message. Asterisk, you're not enough. Asterisk, and that message cuts deep. Why? Because men by nature are builders, providers, protectors. They want to be the rock, the foundation, the irreplaceable presence in a woman's life. When you hear her bring up her ex in a way that elevates him over you, she's chiseling away at that masculine confidence. It plants a seed of doubt. It makes you question whether you measure up, whether you're truly seen and valued, or if you're just a temporary placeholder until something better comes along, or worse, until her past comes knocking again. This type of woman doesn't bring up her ex out of nostalgia. She brings him up as a weapon, and often it happens in moments where she feels emotionally threatened, cornered, or wants to manipulate you into doing something. It's a form of emotional blackmail. She knows that by invoking another man's name, she can spark insecurity, jealousy, even desperation, and in doing so, she regains control of the conversation and the relationship. But what does this really say about her character? A woman who still compares her current man to her ex is emotionally stuck in the past. She hasn't healed. She hasn't fully let go, and worse, she hasn't learned the art of emotional maturity. Because real emotional maturity means recognizing that each relationship is unique, and that comparing people, especially in a belittling or competitive way, is not only unhelpful, it's toxic. It's a form of disrespect that slowly rots the foundation of trust, closeness, and emotional safety. Imagine being with someone who constantly measures you against a ghost. No matter how much you give, no matter how much effort you put in, you're always chasing a shadow. A man who no longer exists in her life, but who lives rent-free in her mind. That's not just exhausting, it's degrading. It makes you feel like you're always one step behind, like you're being judged not for who you are, but for how you compare to a version of someone she probably didn't even know as well as she claims. And here's the deeper truth. If a woman constantly brings up her ex, she's not fully with you. Her mind, her heart, her emotional energy, it's divided. She might be lying next to you at night, but her thoughts are somewhere else. And that is one of the worst forms of betrayal. Not physical, but emotional abandonment. You deserve someone who is present someone who values you for who you are, not someone who treats your relationship like a never-ending audition. A woman who truly respects her man will never, ever use another man as a measuring stick. She will understand that such comparisons are not only hurtful, they are humiliating. And she'll know that in a healthy relationship, the focus isn't on outdoing the past, but on building the future together. If she can't do that, if she still clings to her ex as a symbol of what she's lost or misses, then she hasn't made room for what's right in front of her. And until she does, she will never fully appreciate you, not because you're not good enough, but because she's not emotionally available to recognize your value. That's just how I am. Deal with it. This phrase, while seemingly simple, carries a toxic undertone that reveals a deep-rooted resistance to growth, reflection, and emotional responsibility. When a woman says this to you, what she's really doing is planting a flag in her dysfunction and daring you to challenge it. She's telling you that your discomfort with her behavior is irrelevant, that her flaws are not just part of her personality, but something you must accept as non-negotiable terms if you want to be with her. It's not a statement of identity. It's a warning that growth is off the table. Think about what this really means in the context of a relationship. Relationships are living, breathing dynamics that require constant adjustment, compromise, and evolution. No one enters a relationship perfect. We all come with our wounds, habits, and blind spots. But what separates a healthy partner from a destructive one is the *** willingness to grow ***. When someone tells you that's just how I am, they're telling you that their behavior, no matter how damaging or unhealthy, is above scrutiny. They are exempting themselves from the normal, necessary process of emotional development. Let's go even deeper. This kind of woman doesn't want accountability. She wants immunity. She wants the benefits of a relationship, love, attention, loyalty, effort, without having to do any of the internal work that makes a partnership thrive. So, when you bring up how her actions affect you, be it her constant sarcasm, her lack of empathy, her emotional outbursts, or her dismissiveness, she shuts the door. Not because you're wrong, but because acknowledging your concerns would mean admitting she has room to grow. And for someone like her, that's a threat to her fragile self-image. Over time, this dynamic becomes incredibly damaging. You'll start to notice a pattern. Every time you express a need or set a boundary, she meets it with defensiveness or indifference. You'll hear variations of the same theme. I'm just being real. This is who I've always been. I don't change for anyone. Phrases that sound like strength, but are, in reality, emotional armor. And the longer you stay, the more you'll find yourself adjusting, not because you're weak, but because you care. You'll compromise more and more just to keep the peace, to avoid arguments, to protect the connection. But here's the danger. Every time you bend to accommodate her rigid attitude, you're betraying yourself. You're teaching her that you'll tolerate behavior that hurts you. You're reinforcing the very belief she wants to hold on to, that she doesn't have to change because you'll adjust. And as that pattern repeats, your identity starts to erode. You go from being a man with standards and emotional awareness to someone who's constantly walking on eggshells, avoiding confrontation, silently absorbing mistreatment, and calling it love. Now, let's look at it from a higher perspective. True intimacy, true connection, is not about two perfect people coming together. It's about two imperfect people being willing to grow in each other's presence. A woman who refuses to grow is not just stuck. She's emotionally selfish. She's telling you, my comfort matters more than your peace. My habits matter more than your well-being. My way of being, even if it's toxic, is not up for discussion. And if you accept that, you're not in a relationship. You're in a cage. A woman who loves and respects you will want to meet you halfway. She won't dismiss your concerns as attacks. She won't cling to her worst habits like badges of honor. She'll see your feedback not as criticism, but as a call to rise. Because love is not just about acceptance, it's about accountability. Not in a harsh, punitive way, but in a way that says, I care enough about us to become better, even if it's uncomfortable. So when she says, that's just how I am, deal with it. You need to hear what she's not saying. She's not saying she's strong. She's saying she's unwilling. She's not saying she knows herself. She's saying she's unwilling to face herself. And that unwillingness is the very thing that will drain you, frustrate you, and eventually, if you're not careful, break you. You're not man enough for me. This is not just an insult. It's a direct strike at the core of your identity. It's one of the most emasculating things a woman can say to a man, because it doesn't just challenge your behavior in a particular moment. It calls into question your entire essence, your presence, your worth, and your masculine spirit. It is designed to hit deep, to unearth insecurities you might not even know you had, and to force you into a psychological corner where you begin to doubt everything about yourself. When a woman says this, she's not trying to resolve an issue. She's trying to dominate you emotionally. She's trying to break you down so you can be rebuilt in a way that serves her ego. Let's analyze what this statement really implies. To tell a man that he's not man enough is to say that he has failed some invisible test of masculinity, a test whose rules she has created and which she alone gets to judge. It's a deeply manipulative phrase because it plays into a pressure that every man carries, the need to be strong, competent, protective, and worthy of respect. For generations, society has told men that their value is in what they provide, how unshakable they are, and how much control they maintain. So, when a woman weaponizes that narrative against you, she's not just speaking from a place of hurt or anger. She's deliberately trying to cut you down in the area she knows will hurt the most. This phrase can emerge in different forms. Maybe you're going through a tough time financially, emotionally, or mentally, and instead of offering support, she chooses to shame you. Maybe you choose to express vulnerability, to open up, to communicate your struggles, and instead of honoring that courage, she labels it weakness. Maybe you refuse to be manipulated, and you stand your ground, and she calls it immaturity, cowardice, or being less than a real man. All of this is designed to make you second, guess your instincts, your boundaries, and your decisions. But here's the ugly truth behind this kind of behavior. It's not about you at all. It's about her need for control. A woman who uses this kind of language is often insecure herself. She projects her emotional instability outward, seeking to dominate rather than to connect. She doesn't want a partner, she wants a puppet, someone she can mold, push, guilt, and control, and by attacking your masculinity, she's trying to create a sense of dependency. If you start believing you're not man enough, you'll do more to prove yourself. You'll overextend, you'll silence yourself, you'll bend over backwards to become the man she claims you're not. This is how men lose themselves, not all at once, but slowly over time. The first time she questions your manhood, you get angry. The second time, you feel hurt. The third time, you start to wonder if she's right. Before you know it, you're no longer operating from a place of confidence, but from a constant fear that you're not measuring up. And when you operate from fear, you're no longer leading. You're reacting. You're not living with power. You're chasing approval, and that shift, that's the death of your masculine identity. A woman who genuinely respects and cherishes her man will never question his manhood, even if she disagrees with him, even if she's upset, even if the relationship is going through a difficult phase, because she knows that masculinity isn't about being perfect. It's about being grounded, self-aware, and willing to take ownership. She knows that real men aren't always unshakable. Sometimes they're vulnerable, sometimes they're uncertain, sometimes they need space to think, process, or heal, but none of that makes them less of a man. In fact, it makes them more of one. When a woman says, "You're not man enough for me," she's rejecting not just your behavior, but your identity. She's attempting to fracture your spirit so that she can feel superior, feel powerful, or feel justified in her own lack of emotional regulation. And if you allow that kind of poison to take root in your mind, It will begin to influence every area of your life. You'll question your value at work. You'll second guess your decisions. You'll hesitate to speak up. You'll play small just to avoid more emotional attacks. You'll start living your life from the shadows of her insults instead of the strength of your own truth. The phrase, "you're not man enough," is not feedback. It's abuse cloaked in emotional manipulation. It's a red flag that tells you everything you need to know about her intentions and her emotional capacity. A healthy relationship isn't about testing each other's worth. It's about building each other's strength. A woman who loves you will inspire your masculinity, not belittle it. She will see your effort, your values, your growth, and honor them, because true masculinity isn't proven by dominance or perfection. It's proven by how deeply a man knows himself and how unwilling he is to let anyone, especially someone who claims to love him, strip that away. Words reveal character, not intentions, not hopes, not illusions, asterisk, asterisk, character, asterisk, asterisk. And when a woman speaks, especially in moments of tension, conflict, or raw honesty, she is showing you exactly what lives inside her. The way she chooses her words, the tone she uses, the things she says when she's upset, or when she doesn't get her way. That's not random. That's not meaningless. That's the unveiling of her emotional blueprint. And as a man, if you ignore that blueprint, if you choose to listen only to the sweet words and ignore the venom laced between them, you're not being loyal, you're being blind. Every single one of the statements we've examined, "You're too sensitive," "You should be lucky to have me," "My ex was better," "That's just how I am," and "You're not man enough for me," they're not isolated remarks. They are linguistic fingerprints of a deeper mindset. A woman who says these things is showing you how she views love, respect, accountability, and power. She's revealing whether she's emotionally mature or manipulative, whether she builds or destroys, whether she seeks connection or control. And the scariest part is, she may not even be aware of what she's doing, but the damage is still real. You see, the modern man is often conditioned to endure. Society tells him to be strong, to not overreact, to give second chances, to understand where she's coming from. But the problem with constantly rationalizing disrespect is that it normalizes it. You begin to accept language that chips away at your confidence. You begin to excuse patterns that suffocate your spirit. And all the while, the woman standing next to you might be speaking words that look harmless on the surface, but are slowly becoming the script to your emotional decline. Words are not just sounds, they are signals. And in relationships, those signals form a pattern. A woman who consistently uses phrases that belittle you, manipulate you, or dismiss your identity is laying the foundation for a dynamic that will always keep you beneath her. It might not start that way. It might start with jokes, with sarcasm, with off-hand comments made in anger, but if those words go unchecked, they evolve, the disrespect gets bolder, the guilt trips get heavier, the comparisons get crueler, and you start adapting to survive in a space that was never built to support your strength in the first place. It's not enough to judge someone by how they treat you when things are good. Anybody can smile when they're happy. Anyone can speak sweetly when they're getting what they want. The real test of character is how a woman speaks when she's disappointed, when she's angry, when she's hurt. Does she still choose to be respectful, or does she weaponize her words to tear you down? That distinction is everything, because here's the hard truth. If she chooses cruelty in her words, it's because she knows they'll cut deep. She knows where your soft spots are. She knows what will make you question yourself, and if she chooses to use that knowledge as a weapon instead of a window to connect with you, she is not safe for your soul. She is not safe for your vision, your peace, or your purpose. Men often stay in relationships far too long because they're waiting for actions to change while ignoring the words that already told the truth. They hope that love will fix it, that patience will fix it, that silence will fix it, but it never does, because if someone's words are rooted in control, superiority, or emotional laziness, their behavior will eventually follow. Words are the soil, actions are the fruit, and if the language is bitter, what grows from it will poison you, slowly, silently, and thoroughly. So listen closely, not just to what she says when she's trying to charm you, but especially to what she says when she's under pressure. That's when masks slip. That's when the real person shows up. And when she speaks those 5 phrases, when she reveals the part of herself that blames, shames, mocks, and dominates, believe her, she's not making a mistake. She's showing you the rules of the game she intends to play, and you only have 2 choices: ignore the warning signs and suffer in silence, or recognize the truth, honor your value, and walk away before those words become the prison walls of your identity. So here's the reality: a woman doesn't have to hit you to hurt you. She doesn't need to raise her voice to break you down. Sometimes it's the words, casually delivered, often dismissed, that leave the deepest scars. As a man, your peace, your confidence, your purpose are too valuable to be chipped away by someone who doesn't respect them. You don't owe your loyalty to a woman who uses your masculinity as a weapon, who treats your emotions like inconveniences, and who speaks to you in ways that make you question your worth. A relationship is meant to be a place of growth, not degradation. A space where you are seen, heard, and respected, not manipulated, mocked, or compared. And if she shows you through her words that she doesn't value who you are believe her stop making excuses, stop hoping she'll change. Stop betraying yourself in the name of potential, because the most powerful move a man can make isn't to fight for someone who tears him down, it's to walk away with dignity from anyone who can't speak to him with respect. Remember this: love may be patient, but self-respect should never be.